Do you have or need answers for some of these insurance questions? Like, a friend of mine wants to use my party barge, and is he covered on my policy? How about an insurance question like this? I had hail damage to the front half of my house, and does the insurance company offer or have to replace the whole roof? The answers to these questions and more will be discussed tonight on Understanding Insurance. It's Thursday, May 16th, 2019, and welcome to Understanding Insurance. This is a live video blog brought to you by Guyor Insurance Agency and IBU, which stands for Insurance Benefits Unlimited. And I want to thank all of you who are joining me tonight, possibly for the first time. But I want to introduce myself. I'm David Guyor, and I'm the owner of Guyor Insurance Agency and the Vice President and Marketing Manager for Insurance Benefits Unlimited. We are a local company. And the reason why I do this blog is, I'll pull up these slides I've created for us, is the reason for the purpose for this blog is I want to help and educate folks like yourself. Some of you probably own many of these different insurance products: health insurance, home insurance, car insurance. If you're like many of us that have our toys, we have boat insurance, motorcycle insurance, and so on. So I want to help y'all understand some of these products that you own, and like I said, many of us own lots of these things. And second, I want to prove to you I need to be your insurance agent. Let's call it kind of like a concierge insurance agent. And the reason why I say this is when you call the office, you're going to get me, not someone else. I don't have a receptionist anymore. It's just I answer my phone calls. That means I serve you, not a receptionist, period. I walk my clients hand in hand through any of their insurance problems. If you happen to have a claim, I deal with that personally. We still have to use the insurance claim number and so on, but I keep up with it, help you understand what we anticipate in coverage. You know, again, it's all about adjusters, but we won't get too deep into it. But the point is people pay for these products, and the agent isn't always there when you have a problem or when you have a claim. And I want to be your concierge insurance agent. And lastly, if you have to leave a message, which I am on the phone, seems like 24/7, when you call, leave a message, and I return your call, period. That's it. I mean, that's probably the biggest complaint I get sometimes from some of these folks that call in and want quotes, and it's that kind of complaint about, I'm not getting a return call, so I will call you. And again, this video blog that will educate you is to make you aware of any changes in the insurance world and how it could affect you, and hopefully you will utilize this format in contacting me, and you'll see here in a second how to reach me. You can text me live through the number I'm going to pop up. But today's topic's going to be is my group insurance plan at work is just too expensive. Can I buy an individual health plan? We're going to discuss that and, of course, answer some of those questions. But I do, unfortunately, want to kind of bring it down a little bit, but not terribly. But I want to thank Before we get going today, I want to thank all of you who kept my family and I in your thoughts and prayers last Thursday, May 9th. We weren't airing the show that night, and it was because we were celebrating. It sounds kind of horrid if you had experienced this, but 1 year ago, last Thursday, our 16-year-old son Drake here passed away, took his own life. And I'm sure many of you could not even imagine losing a child, us too, but God has a plan. And I have to say, since this tragic day, if you are a believer and you go to church, you better truly believe Jesus is good news. My wife and I and our 3 living children have that we believe in that news, and wholeheartedly. You have to in a situation like this, and that's what gets us through life's events like this. Please continue to pray, because we feel it. We can tell God's presence, and we felt it tremendously last Thursday. We got together with some friends and, of course, our families, and we celebrated Drake's life. When moments come up, like Drake's passing, I always say these words now: it sucks, but God is good. Amen? Well, let's get to something a little more positive. But again, truly I do thank you all for your prayers and that. But we do have what we call in this show insurance news that matters. Alrighty, well, let's see what we found today. It's been actually kind of a quiet insurance time here in Arkansas, especially after legislation has disbanded at our state capitol. So I had to dig around, and I dug around quite a bit today. So these are kind of more national news, but you see this bottle of Roundup here. But California Journey blames Roundup for couples cancer and awards $2 billion. So just stay with me on this as I read this little article. It says a California jury on Monday awarded more than $2 billion to a couple who claimed buyers, AGs, which is the company, they have and I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, glyphosate-based is a chemical that's in Roundup to kill these weeds. But as the article continues, it caused cancer in the largest U.S. jury victed date against the company in legislation over this chemical. And the jury found that Roundup had been defectively designed by the company, and that the company failed to warn these people that unfortunately got cancer from it. And it's a Germany company. Apparently they've got, unfortunately, 15,400 lawsuits going right now. And the reason why I bring things like this up is most folks don't realize a lot of things are connected to insurance. And what I mean by this is when you hear about a company like this that's getting sued, something like this company, they have what they call product liability. And what that does is it provides coverage if there's a defect in their product. And I'm going to assume that that's what's going to end up happening here. $2 billion, not necessarily that company has that much coverage, but the point is that every time something like this happens, and I'm riding the fence on this. My job is, when I say riding the fence, is what I try to do is educate through this. So the thing that I think about is when I see this in a $2 billion, which the company's saying we're going to fight this award, and secondary, I guess California has some kind of law that says that one can't sue for liability like this, for this much money. But either way, it's an insurance product that is going to help pay for some of this lawsuit. So when those events happen, insurance is involved. That's why I found this in the Insurance Journal. And these are the things that you have to look at when our rates go up. When those rates start going up, now you understand why. Moving right along. 44 states sued drug makers Teva Teva, alleging price-fixing scheme with 19 other firms. So it says U.S. State filed a lawsuit according to Teva Pharmaceuticals USA, Inc., in orchestrating a sweeping scam with 19 other drug companies to inflate drug prices, sometimes by at least 1,000%, and it would cut off competition to the generic drug, state prosecutors are saying. Soaring drug prices from both brand and generic manufacturers have sparked outrage, and investigations in the U.S. The criticism has come from across both political aisles. It's saying right here that President Trump and a Democrat, including a U.S. Senate Elizabeth Warren, who is apparently running for president, kind of jumped in on this and said, yeah, let's go after these companies like this. But they're saying that 20 drug companies agreed to illegally conspire to divide up the market for drugs to avoid competition, and in some cases conspiring to either prevent prices from dropping or rising. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy. I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago about the opiate problem in the drug makers, so it looks like there's quite a bit going on with the pharmaceutical industry. So we'll just keep you in tune on that. But today's topic is my group insurance plan at work is just too expensive. Can I buy an individual plan? And we are actually going to discuss that. But first, I want to get to answering this first one. It says, a friend of mine wants to use my party barge. Is he covered on my policy? So I get these questions from people that call me through the weekday. To answer that question bluntly, yes, you can let your buddy use your party barge. Hopefully he's a good friend, and hopefully if he does do something silly and your boat would be fixed, but if there's a deductible on. But the rule in general says that a person who is not a family member and is not a regular user has the right to use your boat. So that answered that client of mine's question. Here's another question that was posed to me this week. It says, I had hail damage to the front half of my home's roof. Does the insurance company have to replace the whole roof? Bluntly again, no, they don't have to. The insurance company's responsibility is to fix the damaged area only. Now, when it comes into mismatching, which is always the biggest complaint I hear from some of my clients, the mismatching of the colors, there's nothing really you can do. They're going to do their best to try to match it. I made a couple notes to make sure I cover everything. It says it still has to be warranted by the roof company, of course, but that's another good thing, is your insurance company is going to help make sure that that warranty stays in effect. And so they're going to connect it to the old roof to the new roof. You can pay the difference, though, if you want to have the rest of the roof replaced. I actually had one of my clients do that. The problem is that some of you guys need to understand that there are some people, I'm a homeowner, and it's our responsibility to take care of those roofs. And remember, I've always said insurance companies are a for-profit industry, which means if everybody keeps saying, I really need a new roof, I'm going to wait for the next hailstorm. Well, unfortunately, you're not the only one. You don't think you're the smartest guy. So everybody's doing that. And when that happens, the insurance companies are going to react. One, higher rates, and two, what I'm about ready to read you. Don't forget that, first, don't forget you got a deductible. Here's what I'm talking about. A lot of my new homeowners policies that I write, they have what they call a 1 or 2% roof hail deduction. It's separate from every other deduction, which if you had a burglary, a small fire, in the kitchen and things like that, most people have $1,000 or $1,500 deductible. But they do have a special roof hail separated, and it can be a 1 or 2%. Now that's something people say, well, hang on, I don't understand. I have $1,000 deductible on any losses, but when it comes to my roof, what's 1 or 2%? good example is if you have and I'm just having you use some numbers. So if you have a house, a replacement cost on your homeowner's policy, and let's say your home is valued at $250,000, then that roof hail deductible, if it's at 1%, you have to pay the first $2,500 because it's 1% of the home replacement cost that the insurance company posed on your policy. If it's a 2%, it can be $5,000. Well, folks, I think I've got 3%. I went up a little bit higher. And again, because I'm willing to take the risk. When we bought this house, we were fortunate that the person put a brand new roof on it. So I knew that we had a good roof. Now, I can't stop a major hailstorm, but I'm willing to take that risk in getting cheaper, payments. I'm a homeowner's because it's on an escrow, so you can get a less expensive homeowner's policy if you take some of that risk, and that's what I always tell people. So I hope that helps answer some questions there. But again, today's topic was we're going to cover is my group insurance plan at work is just too expensive. Can I buy an individual plan? I've actually had a couple of calls on this and got some good news for you. To not be a politician, I've got to read my notes. I've got to answer the question bluntly. Do I have to, it's expensive. Can I go buy an individual plan? Yes, you can. Thank you, President Trump. He did away with the ACA law. But let me read my notes so we can stay on track. This year, starting January 1st, a person no longer will be penalized if you do not have an ACA plan. Now remember, ACA stands for Affordable Care Act, and when Obama passed that law, that ACA law, it said that you had to buy a group plan, or you could go outside that. If one was offered to you, you had to buy it, or you could buy an ACA plan. So when the ACA law was passed, like I said, the group plans were offered and you had to take them. And if not, you could go to the exchange, is what they call it, the marketplace, or the exchange, or AKA Obamacare. But today, President Trump did away with the ACA law. And when he did away with that law, that makes it an open market. So if, let me keep reading my notes because I'll get off track because there's quite a bit on this. You can take your group plan at your office, or you can go to either an Obama Care plan, or Blue Cross is actually offering a limited duration plan. They call it the Comprehensive Plus plan. I like it because finally, for all of us people that are getting or needing insurance, let's say you're moving jobs, you're offered COBRA, can be very expensive. Now you have something, even though you can go to the ACA, it's a qualifying event, but with this new limited duration plan that Blue Cross Blue Shields, it's 2/3 less the price. Here's my number and my email address. If this is getting, I hope this is making sense because I'm saying this is good news, but I want to stay on track. So to take a moment, well, hang on. First and foremost, your HR person is the person who really kind of looks at your group plan. But to take advantage of your group plan at the office, somebody like your HR will have to do it. But we're going to go through, and I've got some slides to go through and look at the pros and cons on a group plan. But first and foremost, your HR person has to team up with an agent that continually watches over our group, shopping it each year. And I want to introduce to you something that me and my partner in the business in IBU, George Wing, he came up with this right here. It's a group health insurance comparison, but we call it the Wingman Shopping Report. It is phenomenal. So I'm going to toot our whistle here a little bit because as you're going to see here in a few of these slides, what we do, like I said, it's up to that HR person to find an agent. It's very difficult when you look, even for an agent. I mean, look at what you're seeing on the screen now. This is what our George created this program, and it is very simply a simple way for an HR or the person in charge of a health plan to look at what each company, Blue Cross, Health Advantage, QualChoice, United Healthcare. We're appointed. We can, sell all those different carriers, but we go through with the Wingman Shoppers Report and help that HR person, which in turn helps you find the best carrier. Because again, the topic is can I buy an individual plan? Sure. But if you can get a group plan, and we're going to cover why, if we can get a group plan and your HR or your person who's in charge of your group plan finds an agent who's got a way in which we feel like this is the best thing besides sliced bread. Because literally there's hundreds of group plans out there to each carrier. So think about Health Advantage, Blue Cross, and all that. And we can tell you what individual, each individual up to the point, like on this slide, up to the individual on what it costs to them. So we compare all the different plans per carrier. We show your person in charge those rates for your group. Then we break them down to the next part, which is how does, Jane Doe and her 2 kids, what is her specific amount? So we, I just, like I said, this is a little bit of a solicitation, I should say, about the Wingman Shoppers Report. But if you are the person or you're concerned about your group rate, because I want to also tell you about the pros and cons on the group rates or having a group plan. We have some of our group plans that the employer pays 100%, which is very hard to find nowadays. I just spoke with someone today, and their group is 30. They have 30 people in there, and he's an employee. And I told him, I said, gosh, that plan could be, $15,000, $20,000 a month. And he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And I'm a self-employed person. I own a business, so that frustrates me when I used to have employees when they didn't understand the benefits that they get from working for me. And so with this employee didn't realize that his employer, and apparently in this company they only paid 50%, but that's still 50% that you don't have to pay. So the pros and cons going back to these group plans are, pre-existing health issues, that's thrown out the window in a group plan. So there's a pro in there, but you could also get that with an ACA plan. If a group is a 50 or, depending on how the agent set it up, if it's at least 50 plus or most of them are 100 plus, COBRA plays a factor. So if you leave the company, you can have a COBRA plan. But again, I want to stay focused on, is it cheaper for me to go with a group or an individual? It really gets down to this. If you are a healthy person and it's just you, I'm going to tell you my personal opinion is go to the brand new plan, which Blue Cross Blue Shield just put out, which is the duration plan. But if your employee is willing to pay some of that, then you're leaving money on the table. Take the group plan. Limited duration plan through Blue Cross, they're looking for the healthy folks. I mean, the plan was really stemmed out of President Trump saying he was going to do away with Obama plan. And when that was going to go away, the insurance carriers were like, oh my gosh, we got to get a plan together. Well, that never happened. So, bottom line, Blue Cross had all the guts and mechanisms ready to present this new plan, and so instead they made some changes and unveiled it, and now I'm excited because as an agent I can sell a health plan now anytime. I don't have to wait to the ACA market to open, which is from November to December 15th. And second, if you're a healthy person, these plans are really inexpensive. Now, the cons on an employee plan is dependents. A lot of times dependents are all on your own. And an ACA plan and a group plan, that's where I just shop my folks. When someone calls in and says, and again, now that we don't have the ACA law that says that you have to have a group plan, now as an individual, you can call me up and I can actually shop you in the market. But if we do decide to go with a plan that has pre-existing coverage, then that's an ACA plan. So the other part of the con against group plans is, again, it can be as high, if not a little bit higher than ACA plan. So it doesn't sound like a lot of good news on these group plans, but ultimately it's an individual thing, and having an agent that that can answer these questions, know everything there is, the ins and outs about health insurance. And if you're an employer out there, I'd love an opportunity to just reach out, send me an email or text me or something, and we'd be glad to come show you the Wingman Shoppers report, because when I shop just United Healthcare, I'm not lying, there's 100+ different plans, and for me to walk in and hand the person charged papers, just so much paper, and say, well, this plan does this and this plan does, it's overwhelming. I mean, that's our job to kind of sift through that stuff. So I hope that kind of answered your question. And I always try to stay on time. It's about 8:28. So before we go, I do want to bring something up to you, or ask you guys, is I need to ask to get some of your input. And what I mean by that is I started this video blog back in March, and with summer approaching, I know how we are during the summer. I know many of you guys are going to be off to the winds. I mean, it's summer break, the kids are out of school, vacations are in there. And so I would love to talk to you but further about what should we do with the show. Should we continue it? Hang on, I'm sorry, I got a slide here I thought I had that I was going to put. Oh yeah, got to show it to you. There it is. That's where I want to be, right there on the beach. But truly, yes, I want to hear from you. I want to know what your thoughts are, and should we continue doing the video blog after the summer break? I'm really thinking about just taking a break at the end of May being our last live video blog, and then come back after the summer break and pick it up. Or what do you think about this idea that I actually got from Citizens Fidelity? A friend of mine over there, Justin, came up with the greatest idea. Thank you, Justin. Is what about just doing a 3 to 5 minute video? Some folks don't like sitting here and watching the whole video, and actually, to be honest, I don't know how many people actually watch through it. But these by every 2 or 3 times a week, I'll put out a 3 to 6 minute video. But that's what I'm thinking is. I just need to know. So where's my stuff? There it is. There's my finger. So either email me or text me. I love to know what I need to do. I'm also very open to criticism, what you think about the show. But yeah, let me know. We're gonna work on what to do for the summer. And remember this. Your insurance policy can only be as good as your agent who services it. So I'd love the opportunity to be your agent, and please give me a call, and I look forward to hearing some response back on what we just discussed about going to 2-3 video blogs during the week. You have a blessed night, and we'll see you next week.